Today's episode is sponsored by Audible.com. Audible is a seller and producer of spoken audio entertainment, information, and educational programming on the internet. Audible sells digital audiobooks, radio and TV programs, and audio versions of magazines and newspapers. To start using Audible today, please visit their website at www.audible.com. That's www.audible.com. Welcome to another episode of Taking You to the Top. In this podcast, Rami spends time speaking with founders and CEOs from across the globe and asks them specific questions to learn exactly how they launched their businesses. Before we get started with today's guest, please follow Rami's Instagram account and subscribe to his YouTube channel so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. If you'd like to watch previous episodes, simply click on Rami's IGTV section or visit the YouTube channel to watch those episodes. If you'd like to get more information and analytics about each guest, simply click on the website link in Rami's bio. Now, let me spend a moment to introduce today's guest before Rami gets started. Today's guest is the co-founder and CEO of Tohi Ventures. Tohi is an antioxidant-rich, Aronia Berry beverage that's 100% natural, clean label, low in calories, and is made up of only 5 ingredients. Join Rami in welcoming her to the show. If you have any questions for our guest today, please leave them in the comments section below. That being said, we hope you enjoy today's episode. Without further ado, are you ready to take it to the top?
All right, Shari, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. Welcome to episode number 5 of Taking You to the Top.
Thank you, Rami. I'm excited to participate. I'm excited that you found me, and it's a great opportunity for me and for Tohi to participate.
Fantastic. So if you wouldn't mind, to get started, if you could introduce yourself and maybe take us back to the beginning. Where are you from? How did you start this journey to how you arrived to where you are today?
Sure. So I'll give the short story, obviously, but I'm actually in Kansas City, Missouri, which is in what they call the heartland of the United States. And this is where I grew up, but I was just mentioning to you previously that after my undergraduate degree, I left Missouri and kind of traveled. I was a corporate kind of vagabond for a while, and my journey took me to California and New York and over to London and back to New York, and then came back to Kansas City just about 3 years ago for family and for personal reasons. So geographically, it's been a journey to get to where I am today, and then I can tell you a little bit more about sort of the journey of how I came to start this company that we're going to talk about today.
Sure, please.
So I don't have a traditional kind of linear career path. It's been kind of an interesting journey, and I think those are, more of the interesting journeys are not linear. So I started my undergraduate degree is in journalism, and I started with a great company that was growing incredibly quickly at the time because of the internet and disclosure of financial news, corporate news. But it was called PR Newswire, and I was on the business. Yeah, I was on the business.
Very aware of it.
Yeah, the business side of PR Newswire, and was able to grow with that company, and was there for 13 years, and really culminated my experience there by starting an international business unit of PR Newswire. So I ended up in London and opened offices for PR Newswire in Hong Kong, across Western Europe, in Latin America. So we did some great international work in setting up that business unit. So that was an exciting opportunity for me, and I would say it was kind of one of the reasons. I was always an entrepreneur within PR Newswire. I was always the one, I think, raising my hand when there was a challenge or an opportunity to create something new or to open a new office or move somewhere geographically. I was always willing to take that risk, and I think I was able to kind of profit from that in terms of the experience there. So that's how I kind of started my career out of undergrad. While I was working at PR Newswire, I went to Wharton to an executive program, management program at Wharton. So I was working and going to school full time as well, which I wouldn't want to have to redo that part of my life, but it was also a great experience as well. So that kind of set me up for the next phase of my career. When I left the international business unit, I got recruited back to New York to run a venture capital backed startup in New York. And this was during kind of the heyday of the first internet wave. So I was running an accelerator, a technology accelerator in New York. So this was way before the concept of Y Combinator or Techstars. So it was kind of an early version of that. And again, that was a great way to get involved in the ecosystem, setting up the early stage internet environment and ecosystem in New York City. And then I transitioned to the investment side of the equation. So that sort of brought me sort of full circle, 360-degree view from corporate to working on the ecosystem development side to being a investor. So I transitioned to the investment side, and I was leading healthcare related investments for a private investment fund in New York City. So that gave me great, without having a healthcare background, it gave me an opportunity to kind of do a deep immersion in healthcare in New York City and work with some of the great technologies coming out of New York's elite academic institutions as far as early stage healthcare technology.
Okay.
So that was the next kind of step in my career. And I think it was towards the end of that 8-year period that I was really sort of immersed in that healthcare technology space. But from a personal standpoint, I was always enamored by I would say the more kind of general wellness space, and specifically nutrition. And, I was always on a personal quest for what's the latest and best kind of new health and wellness products. Like, what are you putting in your body and what are they doing for you? And I would say it was that point that I, was again really kind of enamored with that space and started playing around with the idea of starting a company in the health and wellness space. And as these things happen, one thing kind of led to another, and it became sort of one of these, magical, mystical journeys that you start down a path to create a new company. So that was the sort of genesis of the idea for the company that I started called Tohi. And I'll stop there and then can give you more background around that as well. But yeah.
So actually, that is an amazing thing to hear. Would you say that having gone through that circle is advisable for someone just starting out? Do you think that they should try the different, let's say the different aspects of not just starting a company, but being able to see it from different angles? As an investor or as someone handling a startup, would you advise that? Or do you think?
I think it's an unusual path perhaps, but I think that it's given me a unique perspective. And I think that, for me, it's been not just a unique perspective, but kind of an invaluable perspective as well, because I've been on the side of the table to have to say no to a entrepreneur, who's raising capital. So I understand it from the perspective of what are investors, what are investors looking for. But I've also, so I think I have empathy from that perspective. And then I can see it from the, from the entrepreneurial perspective as well. I think it gives me a more well-rounded viewpoint, but I wouldn't say that it's a normal course to get to where I to get to where I am today. But I think also people, we all, the combination of probably luck, making good choices and good decisions, and some planning, obviously, goes into the course of your life. And for some people, they know what they want to do, whether that's you're going to be a doctor or you're going to be an accountant. I mean, there are certain professions that it's a pretty chosen path and a course. As you know, being an entrepreneur or being in any aspect of the entrepreneurial course is definitely not that sort of straight line to from A to Z.
Oh no, it's up and down every day.
Yes,
for sure.
Exactly.
So I want to move on to your company. Could you tell us what your company does and what you're trying to achieve?
Yes, thank you. So the company is called Tohi, T-O-H-I, and it's the word Tohi, at least one of the definitions of the word Tohi. It's actually a Cherokee or Native American word meaning wellness. So we chose the name of the company because we're an emerging wellness brand. So we chose the name of the company not only to reflect that being a wellness brand, but also more importantly, it pays homage to the core ingredient that we've built the platform or the brand around. Right. And so we're a wellness company brand focused on creating and innovating antioxidant-based products, consumer products, and they're based on a core ingredient, which is really part of the fascinating story behind the company, was kind of the discovery of this ingredient. So the ingredient's called Aronia, Aronia berries, which are actually part of the rosacea, the rose family, botanicals, but it's a plant that's native to North America and was used by Native Americans for the nutritional and medicinal values in the plant. But it's kind of a fascinating story because it grew in the wild, but it never ended up being commercialized as a crop until about 10, 15 years ago. And but it's an incredible plant. It has tests for having the highest total measure of antioxidants, both polyphenols and anthocyanins. So there's some unique properties to it. And so it's a great plant-based source and an ingredient. And it is the core ingredient for our, as I said, kind of platform for our innovating wellness products.
Fantastic. So how does it actually compare, would you say, to like, because there was a very antioxidant-rich drink that we used to get in Hong Kong. It was a pomegranate-based drink.
Yeah.
So how would you say that this compares? Right.
So there's a lot of clinical and academic studies and agricultural studies around this sort of group of plants, these superfruits or superfoods, whether it's a fruit or a grain. And so there are a lot of comparative studies. So pomegranate would rank up there, acai, cherries, cranberry, those would all rank up there. Elderberry would all rank up there in the superfood group or superfruit group. And the academic studies in comparison will show that of all of them, Aronia has the highest total measure of antioxidants. So it's really really interesting, and it's all about the bioavailability and what those polyphenols and anthocyanins do within your to help in terms of your health and wellness. So it's really fascinating, and it's been an interesting kind of journey for me as well. Again, that is not I'm not a scientist. My co-founder and I came at this from a non-traditional kind of consumer products approach to creating the brand and creating the products. but it's worked out, kind of extremely well for us to take that kind of fresh viewpoint and fresh approach to developing the brand and the products. So our first product to market is actually a ready-to-drink beverage. And we chose this format for our first product to market because we literally thought that was the easiest way to get in the hands, no pun intended, to get in the hands of consumers was a ready-to-drink beverage. And it's kind of on trend with people, on-the-go lifestyles. And it's, it's an easy way to make sure that you're getting a serving of fruit and a high dose of antioxidants in a really kind of easy to consume, easy and cool way to consume the product.
I see you have a second one. Would that be a different flavor?
We actually came out with 4 flavors in the first run of this. So we've got original, dragon fruit, ginger lime, and blackberry raspberry, and they all have the same core 30% single strength Aronia Berry juice as the core ingredient. So it's clean label, non-GMO, it's all natural and no sugar added, low in calories. That's another differentiation when you ask about, how it compares to acai or pomegranate. It's the sugar content and the calorie content. It's naturally lower in natural sugars.
And what I found very interesting as well, only 5 ingredients.
Yes. So that's really on trend, I think, with today's consumers. I think they want authentic ingredients. They want to know where the ingredients come from, and they want to know that there's the least amount of processing available or used, I guess, in the manufacture. And then they want to know that they can actually read a label and not be, if you can't pronounce it and it looks like a chemical, it probably is, right? So exactly. They want to make sure that they actually, know what the ingredients are in what they're consuming, and that they're meaningful calories in what they're consuming and what they're putting in their body.
Exactly. So Tohi Ventures, was it self-funded or did you have to raise capital?
So my co-founder and I put the initial capital in to do the initial formulation, to work with a professional formulator, to know that there was, really something exciting there. And then I was very fortunate in we were funded by a family office that is based here in Kansas City, Missouri, and a very prominent entrepreneur himself who started a healthcare technology company. And excuse me. So we were very fortunate to have raised capital from a family office. So far they're our only equity partner, although we are currently in the fundraising mode to raise capital to continue to scale and grow the business.
Okay. I mean, I won't get into the details of fund size or capital raise, but what I would like to touch on, I mean, if somebody is passionate about starting something similar, are we talking a huge sum of money, or is it in the 6-figure range? Is it something that a lot of people can try to achieve, would you say? Or
I would say that there's probably, in my experience, what I have seen with these early stage kind of health and wellness brands is there is a way to start and scale very small and do it either bootstrapping or, small friends and family raise, or get into one of the incubator programs that maybe one of the big food or CPG conglomerates runs, where you get resources and a little bit of capital to help you with development and scale. Or you can go the route that we did and choose to, if you're fortunate enough to be able to raise capital externally, then it makes it a little easier to go faster in terms of the product development, and also be able to kind of scale in terms of your manufacturing, your capability of actually manufacturing.
In terms of company size, what's your team size look like right now?
So we are, I'd say we're the innovation engine. So we're a team of just 6 people. And then we have some external consultants that specialize in, specific things, whether that's e-commerce or on the formulation or product development side. And then in our supply chain, we manufacture through contract manufacturing. So our actual team size is pretty compact and small right now. Obviously, we will grow, but we're very focused on being the innovation, sales, and marketing engine for the core key team. And then we externalize or contract out like manufacturing, some of the other parts of the supply chain. And that keeps it, more capital efficient as well.
Absolutely. So the 6 people are currently based in the US?
Yes, currently based in the US.
I'm assuming like e-commerce and the others are outsourced?
We have e-commerce expertise on the team, but in terms of the platforms that we use for e-commerce, Amazon, of course, but we're just standing up a mini site on Alibaba, and some other B2B and direct-to-consumer platforms. And we do think that, and this will be where I'm interested in speaking with you more as we get to know one another, we think there's a huge international opportunity for us as well, but we haven't really, started that journey yet. But that's one of the reasons why we're standing up this mini site on Alibaba, because we do think there's some international awareness for our core ingredient, and also the health benefits of the core ingredient.
Absolutely. I mean, one of my closest friends started a coconut water company based in Hong Kong. Obviously, manufacturing is from the Philippines. So actually, it might be very interesting for you to speak with him, because he's gone international from day one.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
can definitely help you out with that.
Awesome.
In terms of growing, do you have any specific marketing channels that you would prioritize over others?
So I think right now, especially in the environment that we're in, e-commerce and direct-to-consumer has become incredibly important. And so we've placed a big focus on that. I mentioned the platforms, of course, Amazon, and standing up this Alibaba site. But also, there's now Google Shopping. There is Facebook and Instagram marketplaces. Even Walmart is partnered with Shopify to open the Walmart marketplace up to small emerging brands. So I think there's a recognition and an awareness of the opportunity for these emerging brands, even on these larger platforms, to be discovered. So while we're pursuing, getting on traditional retail shelf stores, natural and grocery stores, we're also very focused on e-commerce. And again, I think that will give us an opportunity for some international exposure and opportunities that we don't even know exist yet, but certainly a way to be for brand awareness and building consumer and educating consumers around the core ingredient and the benefits of the core ingredient.
And would you say, I'm not sure if this would be specific to you, but in general, since you worked with PR Newswire, would you say PR is like a good strategy to get the word out there for someone who's just starting out?
Yes, absolutely. I think that those kind of mentions in traditional press, but also in this, digital platforms, there are so many health and wellness bloggers, writers, digital daily feeds that go out, that mentions in those kind of things can do so much for brand awareness and to drive, consumers to your website and to try the product. So absolutely, I think getting earned media is a huge strategy. And then I think our other, not being a big brand with a huge marketing budget is to really understand and use the power, as you know, of the, and you know it much better than I do, of the digital world and the digital environment, and to be able to do Instagram and LinkedIn, depending on, the messaging, but using those digital platforms and geo-targeted paid ads so that you're really driving people either to a point of sale, geographically to a point of sale, or you're targeting people based on their interest or geography or demographics, all of those things that you have to be really clever and smart about to efficiently use limited resources as an early stage company.
Absolutely. Okay, are you ready to jump into the famous five?
Oh, sure, of course.
This is usually the fun part.
Okay.
All right, so number one, what's your favorite business book?
So I chose, my mindset is all around entrepreneurship. So there are, I've read a lot of business books that are more for running large corporations and, books like that. I focus more, obviously, around the entrepreneurial ecosystem and spirit. So my choice is a book called The Founder's Mentality. And the authors are Chris Zook and James Allen, best-selling authors. So I chose that book. I think it's a lot about, just what the title says, the founder's mentality and the traits of a founder, and how those core traits and values can sustain a company, an entrepreneurial company, through its growth stages. And how that continuity and consistency from the founder is so important in that process. So that's my choice.
Great. Number two, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Yes, and again, I probably am choosing an unusual person as well. Unusual not in that she's not well known, but I'm choosing Oprah, and one, because she's a female CEO, but I'm choosing her because I think she has incredible instincts and a really high EQ, emotional quotient. She is a master. I think she's a master at staying relevant and being relevant. I mean, she's been in the, she's been a focus and in the, relevant and as an influencer for, 30 plus years, 40 years. And that is not easy to do. And she's built quite an empire for herself for all good reasons. So I choose Oprah.
Great. Number three, what's your favorite online tool for building or growing your company?
So we have, as an early stage brand, I think we've experimented with a lot of tools for platforms, for organizing, for efficiency from a marketing perspective and all of that. But I think one thing that really became very relevant to us during the coronavirus period of having to work remotely was Microsoft Teams. And not only as an alternative to Zoom from a video chat standpoint, but also from just an aggregation of workflow and access to documents, materials, etc. So it may not be the most exciting tool ever, but it certainly was very relevant during our time of working remotely.
Exactly. Actually, we use it quite a lot in the office here.
Yeah.
All right, number four, if you could give your 20-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
That is an easy question and a hard question, right? And it's probably not just one thing, but I would say that in my experience, what served me well was being willing to take risk, being willing to trust myself and my instincts over what other people were concerned about or thought about, or were perhaps guiding me in a direction that I didn't think was right for me.
So that's two, so I'll have to choose one.
Sorry.
No problem.
It's hard to narrow it down to one.
Exactly.
I guess I would say that if you're on the path to being an entrepreneur, you really have to understand your risk threshold and honestly, are you willing to take risk, and not only to take risk, but to to understand what and deal with the consequences of what that risk could hold.
Exactly. I might just have to put in both. It's hard to take away trusting your instinct, to be honest. All right, number 5. How many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Oh gosh, if I'm lucky, 6. I shoot for 6. Sometimes the worry comes in and clouds the mind, and no matter what methods I use to try to clear that, it doesn't. Sometimes it just doesn't work. But I shoot for 6.
Perfect. Well, Shari, thank you so much for giving us some of your time today. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I hope in a year's time I can have a follow-up interview to see where Tohi, maybe Tohi's already reached Saudi Arabia. That would be fantastic.
From your lips, yes. That would be an awesome experience. Maybe we could actually do it. Do a follow-up in Saudi Arabia. That would be a wonderful.
Oh, that would be amazing, for sure.
I'm grateful for you reaching out and for the time. And I think I'm actually the first woman that you've done a podcast about. So thank you for the opportunity.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Shari.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Today's episode is sponsored by Audible.com. Audible is a seller and producer of spoken audio entertainment, information, and educational programming on the internet. Audible sells digital audiobooks, radio and TV programs, and audio versions of magazines and newspapers. To start using Audible today, please visit their website at www.audible.com. That's www.audible.com.